All right, so this one's titled, Both of My Parents Were Surgeons, and I Used to Talk to Furniture.
That's a sentence. That's a sentence.
I grew up in an area where properties were so large and the families are so wealthy that they build mansions and walls enclosing themselves in their own private properties, never interacting with their neighbors unless by some strange coincidence. I was homeschooled until the age of 7, which is where this story ends. But first, it begins at age 4, when I can first remember what my childhood was like. As a young boy, I thought that staying isolated in your family's property was what all little boys did. Whenever my parents would go out, I'd ask to join. But they'd shake their heads, explaining that only adults left home, and only in very, very dire emergencies. Aside from this, I never wanted for toys or activities and developed what my parents described as a wild imagination. I began to create relationships with our household furniture, spending days conversing with them and naming each and every one of them. My parents seemed to indulge in my imagination more and more, increasing the amount of furniture in my house dramatically. My father had always considered himself somewhat of a handyman, and often explained to me his love for constructing things and how he had handcrafted certain pieces. And so 3 years ensued of deep emotional relationships I developed with furniture in my home. Arnold was the soft sofa in the living room that seemed to move up and down as I reclined on him reading books. Sophia was my bed that shifted ever so slightly, rocking me back and forth as I fall asleep. Sometimes I can even hear her humming softly. When I laid my head on the table in my room, Claudio, I could hear his palpitations in rhythm to my heartbeat. I constantly spoke with Theodore, a rather small chair that was very responsive to me, making humming sounds and strange vibrations, even when unprompted. But above all, I loved Gladius, the largest, softest couch in the home, the one who seemed to share my breath. All the furniture felt so soft, so warm, and so alive to me. It's strange how fast things can change. It was Monday, my 7th birthday, and my parents were in the workshop constructing a new piece of furniture as my present. A woman had gotten lost driving through the town, and although our gates were sealed shut, she had managed to push her way through. She knocked on the door lightly, and I jumped up. Having never heard someone approach the house before, when I opened the door, her expression changed in horror. She sniffed the air and gagged. Then she picked me up and began to run. Tomorrow I turn 27, and I've been rolling over my mind if I should sit in the gallery of my parents as they're executed. The headlines had labeled them worse than Carl Brandt. I don't know who that is. I'm so sorry. Having reconfigured 167 people by my 7th birthday. They were never branded murderers because no one had died. But it was much worse than that. The 167 people that make 71 pieces of furniture. That's 664 limbs, reassembled in formations no mind should conjure. Sometimes people think I'm a Buddhist. There's no furniture in my apartment. Both my parents were surgeons, and I used to talk to furniture.
Oh my god.
I thought that one was crazy. I was like, where is this going? And then I was like, oh, the furniture of people.
Dude.
The furniture of people.
Imagine the woman just walking into the house as a child, and then you just see reconfigured people just everywhere.
I very much picture this house like a Sims house. You know, like very like wide open rooms and like way too big and like with weird walls around it, and then just people furniture. And I want to know, like, did they look like people? Were they reupholstered? You know, what's going on?
Yeah, that's because he said they were like soft.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone asks, so do you have to feed the furniture? They're like, oh, maybe. So not necessarily as creepy as it's just like, oh, yeah, plot twist.
Just like I don't know, I kind of like the stories like that because that's the kind of stories I have that are just kind of like unsettling.
Yeah. Not
exactly outright like terrifying.
Yeah.
If it's outright terrifying, I'm gonna have to watch some Barbie movies when I get home.
Yeah, you know, it's okay. We'll go home and play Split Fiction.